Bienvenue dans Coquillages, or et argent, le podcast qui t'enrichit en parlant d'argent autrement. Ici, on ne parle pas seulement de chiffres, de pièces ou de billets. On parle de ce qui vibre en nous, de nos histoires de famille, de notre éducation et de cet héritage invisible qui, encore aujourd'hui, dicte notre façon de vivre et impacte notre bien-être. Je suis Éléonore et dans ce refuge sonore, je t'invite à explorer l'intimité de ton rapport à l'argent. Bonne écoute et bon voyage. Welcome to a brand new episode of Coquillages, or et argent, the podcast that makes you wealthy by talking about money differently. I'm so glad to be here today, really, especially because I have a special guest. I was really excited to have her on my podcast. And today I will be with Minnie, whose story and voice deeply resonate with mine, not only just as a woman, but also as a fellow Caribbean. So for me, it's important. My name is Eleonore, by the way. I'm from Guadeloupe, a French Caribbean island. And even though Minnie and I, we didn't grow up together on the same island, there is something very powerful and unspoken that connects us today. I think that Caribbean shared legacy, that cultural rhythm, and that emotional blueprint around money, love, resilience, it lives in both of us today. And Mimi, also known as Tanisha, I have to say, she grew up in Jamaica in a household where money was a constant source of tension, and that early experience shaped her path she never expected. From a successful career in finance to a deeply personal transformation, leading her to become a certified money and relationship coach, working with clients to help them break free from inherited emotional and financial patterns, especially within the Caribbean communities. So let's not wait any longer. Minnie, the floor is yours. So, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling awesome. That was an awesome introduction. Thank you. I feel like you covered everything there that I would say. Maybe the only thing you probably missed out is that I'm also a mom of two, and yeah, I'm living in Alberta, Canada right now. But yeah, I was born and raised in Jamaica, as you mentioned, and I just felt like you
Right.
you you
I
nailed
did put
everything.
this.
So thank you for that beautiful introduction.
So let's talk about just one
Yeah,
thing.
you did.
Money. How does money represent for you in few words?
That's a good question. Money to me, I really just see money as a tool to achieve the things that we want to achieve or to get more of what we want to achieve. But that's it. That's it for me. It is just a tool that I can use
Okay.
to get
And
what
was
I
it
want.
always like that
Yeah.
when you were a child?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It took a lot of growth to get to this point of realizing that that's all money is. Prior to now, I would say I really thought money was the source of happiness. Like I thought that I needed money to be happy. I needed like as long as I have money and I just get more and more of it, like the happier I will
Okay,
be. That's
and
what
why
I
is that?
thought money was.
Because well, I don't know, but your childhood. What was your first time that you were aware of the power of money, the fact that it was a source of happiness? We will say. Um, in your family, did they talk about
Mhm.
money, or was it taboo? Like in Guadeloupe, for example, in France, it's very taboo. Mm.
So it's funny. I guess you can say money was talked about, but it wasn't like talked about from an educational perspective. It was talked about from arguments. It was just, yeah, like I grew up sort of hearing this concept of your money and my money, and you can
Okay.
buy that with your money, and I will buy this with my money. And
Mhm.
it was just a lot of arguments around money. And it's often like, oh, I don't have enough
Mhm.
money to go buy that, so you go buy that. And I would just kind of notice like the negative energy from a lack of it. So it was from that, like, that the constant messaging and the stories that you're hearing around you, the conversations people are having around you, the arguments that you're seeing in front of you. I think slowly that started to just shape my own belief that, oh, well, I guess if somehow we all had a lot
Wow.
more money, then all these problems would go away. Like we wouldn't have anything to fight about. There wouldn't be any arguments.
Okay.
Like life would just be a lot happier. you know, you would just have all the money you need. You could buy what you
Okay.
want, and then there'd be no reason to argue. So that was what my little brain at the time started to piece
Okay. And
together
that's
just
what you want
based on what
to
was
the
happening
finance
around
after
me.
that? So was it related to this kind of financial patterns, or was it another thing that leads you to this career?
Yeah, no, I think subconsciously that probably was it. Like I don't think I necessarily said to myself I want to have a career in finance one day. It was sort of this vision or this ambition to I want to make a lot of money someday. Like I want to make sure that I get into a position someday that's going to make me a lot of money. And it just so happens that as I was going through university and the career path that I chose, and just the things I was interested in, naturally, I was also very, very good at math and numbers. So somehow I started to like lean towards those type of courses, like the finance courses, the math courses, anything that involved numbers. And then before you know it, I got hired by one of the big banks, and I just started like changing roles and just moving up in that. And like I saw myself just climbing the corporate ladder. That was my vision. It's like, okay, you just need to keep working hard, keep climbing the corporate ladder, keep going up there just so you
Okay.
can keep earning
That's
more and more
interesting
money.
because it
That
was the same
was,
thing for me. I mean, I don't think money was a source of tension because we were not
mm,
talking about money at all in my family, and especially because we are also, even if Guadeloupe
mhm.
is a French Caribbean, so we have a lot of French culture, and in France it's taboo. We don't talk about it at all. You know, we don't know how much money your partner. You don't know that how much money can you make. We don't know all of these things. You just
Yeah.
need to work. Make it work. And but there is something very
Hmm.
interesting is people don't like to talk about how much do they earn, but they like to talk about how much do they spend. That's a kind of that's something that I noticed.
Mm, yes. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
bragging rights, or like, oh, I bought this
Yes.
really
Yes.
expensive
Yeah.
bag or car or something, right? It's like it's a status thing. Because then it
Yes.
gives this idea of like, well, if you're spending that much
Yeah.
money, then it
But not
means
at all.
you're
Sometimes.
clearly earning a lot of money, right? Oh no,
Yeah.
I know, but
Yeah.
that's just
Yeah.
the impression that people want to
Okay, okay. And
give.
what led you, to be a coach? Because you were in your financial career. It was good. You were making good money. You had also your
Yeah.
partner. You were in a good city in Toronto. And why did you decide to?
I know it is. I definitely think a lot of people who knew me at that phase in my life and knew what I was going through, or the thoughts I was having, they thought I was crazy. They didn't get it. Nobody understood it. So to answer your question, to be honest, it just came down to a lack of fulfillment. Like I got to a place in my life
Mhm.
where I realized that every day I was just waking up and doing the same thing. I was just getting up, going to work, doing what I need to do to check the boxes, trying to meet certain goals and targets to get like a really great performance review at the end of the year. And I would come home, I'd be so burnt out, so tired. Sometimes I'd even bring work home. So it's like I'd come home, I'd eat, do what I need to do. And then I get back on my laptop to finish up some more work. And then I get back to work. And then I was just doing this every single day. And I don't know how to explain it. It was just sort of this feeling that came over me where it's like, is this seriously what life is supposed to be? Like, people told me that, here's all that you need to do to make it
Yeah.
in life, work hard, get a good job,
Yeah.
get married, buy a house, have a kid. And here it was at this phase in my life, literally checked all these boxes, like had all of that, and I just felt miserable. I was so unhappy, and I was like, what is wrong with me? And I would share that with some of my really close friends or family. That, like, I just feel so unhappy. I feel so unfulfilled. I feel like there has to be more to life. I feel like I want to do something where I feel like I'm actually making a difference in the world, and they would be like, what's wrong with you? Like, you have it all. Like, life is good. You're making good money. Like, why are you complaining? And so I felt really, really alone in whatever I was going through. And slowly it started to eat away at me. And I started to get really negative thoughts, got into a very dark place in my life. I wasn't, I wouldn't say I was suicidal, but I definitely got to a place where I started to just think about what would it be like if I died? Like, if I just went out and a car hit
Yeah.
me or a bus hit me and I was gone. Like, oh, would
Okay.
it just be
Okay.
better? Like, those were the thoughts that were coming into my mind. And at the time,
Okay.
I had just had my first child, my son, and he was still really, really small, about a year or so. Um, and that's when I knew that, okay, like, I need help. Like, I can't just sit here and be having these thoughts and feeling like this, and here I have this little human that's clearly depending on me to raise him and give him a good life, and here I am feeling like this. And so that started my journey into, like, wanting to look into my mental health, like, what is wrong with me? So I looked for a therapist that was nearby. First time
Yeah,
ever.
because
Never even thought
it's
about
not so
doing therapy
common,
ever in my life.
Caribbean people don't.
Talk about it. And
Yeah.
I think you always used to hear, like, it's only crazy people go to talk to therapist, right? So the fact that I was at this place in my life, I'm like, I didn't even want to tell anybody that I was gonna go to talk to a therapist. But I guess deep down, like, I knew I needed help, and the people around me weren't helping. Like, they didn't understand what I was feeling, and I felt so, so alone. So I yeah, I booked a consultation with one of them, and then, I decided, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna give this a try. And in going through that process, I did it for, I want to say, a little less than a year. But in going through that process, it really started to show me how much of my upbringing was impacting the way that I was feeling today. Like, it was through that process I started to see, like, certain patterns of behavior. It was through that I discovered, like, okay, you're a people pleaser. And it was because you're such a people pleaser, like, you feel like you're giving and giving and you're not getting anything back.
Okay.
Like, I started to learn a lot about myself, and I'm just the type of person where I love learning. And so I would learn, like, something would come out of the sessions for me, and I would go home and I would just go down rabbit holes now of research. And I start Googling things, I start finding books related to this thing, and I just start reading, I start finding courses, and I just start taking them because I just wanted to understand myself a bit more. And eventually, through that journey, I came across the world of relationship coaching. And it was through, I decided to sign up for that. and I was doing some relationship, like getting coached myself, and I stopped therapy because I felt like the relationship coaching for me, it was out. It came at a good place in my life
Yes.
where therapy helped me to unpack a bit of what was happening, but the
Yes.
coaching was actually helping me to move forward. It was like giving me actionable steps to take, and I felt like I was doing something. I was making progress. And as I was doing this, and I just started to share it with the people around me, people in my life, and I started to notice like there's a pattern here. Like because I live in Canada as well, I have Caribbean friends and family, and non-Caribbean friends and not family, non-Caribbean friends. So I started to like share a lot of what I was going through and what I was learning with everybody, and a very, very clear pattern emerged where I realized like all my Caribbean friends and family, they could resonate. Like, and it didn't matter which Caribbean country they were from. They understood what I was going through. They like my story really resonated with them. And then the
Okay.
non-Caribbean people, they didn't get it. And so it was clear to me that there was definitely something about our culture, the Caribbean culture, that has shaped a lot of our stories where we're so similar.
No, that's
We're
true because
different, but we're
I
similar,
found
if
you on
that makes sense.
Instagram, and when I was seeing your videos, I was like, but I can
Yeah,
recognize myself. And she's from a different island, and we never talked before. And I know, unfortunately,
exactly.
the French island don't communicate so much with the other island. Unfortunately, I wish one day. And but I was like, wow, that's me.
Yeah, maybe you're gonna be the one that bridges
That,
that gap someday because you're doing
yeah,
it's really
yeah,
cool
yeah,
that we're doing this. So yeah, and so because I started to like really see that distinction so heavily, I felt almost this calling to be like, no, I need to like help my Caribbean people, like because we can do better than this. We don't have to
yeah,
feel this stuck and lost in our lives at this phase in our lives. And so I decided that what, I'm gonna explore what it takes to be a relationship coach. And that's how I decided to get certified. And I decided that my audience, my niche, the people I'm going to focus on are going to be Caribbean people because I believe in us as a community. And I just feel like there's so much that we can do, but we hold ourselves back. And we don't realize that we're
yeah,
holding ourselves
yeah.
back because of these
And is
beliefs
it
that we
also
grew up.
because, I think
So,
as we
yeah.
are islands, island people, so we are small, I mean, small
Hmm.
territories, you know. I think we are small territories, but
Yep.
big dreams, for me, I have big dreams, and I'm like, but I'm like, maybe
Same. Yeah.
this, how can I say that? This structure, the fact that we are a small island compared to a big country, uh, doesn't help, to have another mindset,
Mhm.
Mm.
Yes. Yes. No, I hear you. And I do believe that that is a big part of the problem. Because if I'm being honest, like I think if I never left Jamaica, if I still lived in Jamaica, I don't know that I would have ever had the mindset I had today. I do believe that my decision, my family's decision to eventually migrate to Canada and giving me this exposure to a different world, a different, like just being able to see what else is possible opened me up to realize to just ask myself like, wait, why do they have this and we don't? Like why do they think like this and we don't? And it's because of that curiosity then you start to realize like, oh, like, well, one, we don't actually know what's
Yeah,
possible if you've never seen what's possible. So to your point, like, yeah, in as small countries, small islands, if you've never left and you don't try to be curious enough to open your mind to understand what else is happening in the world out there, what other possibilities are out there, you would really feel like what you're
Mhm.
surrounded by in your
Yeah.
small island is all that there is. And if you think that that's all that there is, then that's all you're going to aim for. And because that's all you're aiming for, essentially you hold yourself back and you're stuck at that point because you feel like, okay, well, I can't do better than
Yeah,
this.
no,
This
that's
is
true.
as far
That's
as I
true.
could
That's true.
go.
Yeah. And so when you meet, when you met all these people, these Caribbean people, and they say, "Yeah, it does resonate with me."
Mhm.
Uh, what did you
Mhm.
notice? What did you observe as Caribbean specific patterns? Because I'm really curious to know what is really for us and what is really from the other people. So, do you have maybe 2 or 3 patterns that you really saw around Caribbean communities?
That's such a
Let's
good
pick
question
one
to
and we'll see
synthesize.
after. I have one in
uh,
mind that I saw on your video, but
yeah. Yeah, I think the big one for me is it's almost like this feeling of not having enough. It's like we don't have, like, no matter how much money you have, it's like you just believe you don't have enough, and there's this sense of like wanting to hold on to it, or um possibly spend it. It's a weird way to think about it, but it still comes back to the same belief of not having enough. So because I don't believe I have enough, or I probably won't get enough, I'm just gonna, like, any money that comes in right now, I'm gonna take it and get this thing that I want because I don't know when next I'm gonna get this money. Right? It's like a very limiting belief of like money is so scarce, right? And so because subconsciously we're all holding on to this feeling of not having enough, um, we make money decisions through that lens that causes us to really just hold ourselves back. Like we just don't take risk as much. We don't, to me, we don't make a lot of wise money decisions.
what do you mean?
Which
Wise money decision? Is it about the fact that we are, because I will take my example, not my example, but the example in my island. Uh, I realized, because
Mhm.
I'm from Guadeloupe, but I live in Paris like for 10, maybe more years, so I saw, like you, a different place, different way of thinking and being, and so what I what I noticed when when I came back home is the way people were spending their money. For example, the culture of credit, consumption credit, is super high, super. It's really
Mhm.
developed.
Yep.
It's and having for and appearances, also
Yep.
appearances.
Yep.
For example, you don't have a lot of money, but
Correct.
it's important to have a huge and beautiful car in front of your house, even if you don't know.
Correct. You've said it. Like you're pretty much highlighting it for me there. That's exactly what I'm
Why?
talking
I mean,
about. It's
why are we like that? It's
yeah,
not.
like
I won't say that we are bad or there is bad or good people, but for me, sometimes I'm in shock. I'm like, but why do you spend your money like that? Why you don't try to invest, or to think long term decision instead of just like short term or decision related to the others? Where you are talking about relationship. I think it's not just love relationship; it's also relationship with other people. But yeah.
correct. Yeah. The to answer that question, the why are we like that? It is so deep. It is so deep. And I would say it truly comes back to, it's we do it because we're trying to be accepted, we're trying to be loved, we're trying to fit in. We feel like
Mhm.
we have to show up a certain way to get that love, to get that acceptance. And that, when I say it's deep, It's because, again, this comes back to our childhood and to how we were raised, which is part of the what I said I feel like unites us when I say like a lot of Caribbean people have a similar story, but non Caribbean people can't quite resonate. But it starts with this feeling of like, you have to be a good girl and a good boy. You have to make sure you um achieve certain grades. Like that's when you get praise. Like you start to feel like your ability to be loved and welcomed and accepted comes from what is it you do, what is it you
Yeah.
show, what is it you have to bring to the table. And it doesn't just come from you being yourself, because when you're just
Hmm.
yourself, it's like you're not good enough. So because you're not good enough, you have to use
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
now to make yourself good enough. And that's why I say like it's so deep. So that's those people who are doing that, it's because they truly, truly believe that they need to do this
Okay. Okay.
to
Okay.
be accepted,
That's
to
super
fit
deep
in.
and that's super tricky when you are in this situation. No, that's true. I mean, okay, okay,
Exactly.
okay. And why do you think that? Because I have the feeling that, okay, we are bringing material things to the table. You know, we were talking about that bringing money, or it could be something else. But basically, when we have to deal with emotions, there is nobody. There is nobody at all. I mean,
Mhm.
it's always, I have the feeling, and I think it was like that in my family, you know. I was raised materially very well, you know, but from an emotional point of view, I think I didn't receive so much, you know. I don't know how to say, maybe that's not the right way to say it, but I think I was blocked emotionally during a lot of years, you know. And
Yeah, so it's almost like saying like you learned how to suppress your emotions, and you
yeah,
also
after,
weren't
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah, yeah,
shown a lot of
yeah.
emotions from.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I feel like that's a very similar story for a lot of us growing up in the Caribbean, again, because I mean, we would see these funny reels and stuff going around on Instagram where, people are highlighting sorts of that Caribbean trauma that many of us grew up with. And a lot of them could show simple things where, like, the child is crying, and then the Caribbean parent will come and be like, "Why are you crying? Stop the crying. You want me to give you something to cry for?" Like, so it's like it's so ingrained in us to shut it down. It's like your emotions are bad. Like don't express them. You crying makes you look weak. Like stop it. So with that kind of messaging growing up, like eventually your brain learn that okay, I need to, like, when I feel this, just like don't feel it. Try to block it out as much as I can, and just keep going, keep acting tough, keep showing up, keep doing what they want me to do to so that I can be accepted. The problem is that at some point that's going to catch up to you, because the brain and the body doesn't work that way. And so you could go as long as you need to suppressing those emotions, but at some point it's going to need to come out. Somebody just says
Okay.
something so simple, and they just explode, and you're thinking like, oh my god, like why are you overreacting like that? But it's not so
Yeah.
much that they're overreacting, is that they've been suppressing so much for so long that this
Yeah.
was like the straw that broke the camel's back. It just, yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
does eventually
And
catch up to
how
us.
do you, how can I say that? Because for me, it's about education. Everything that you're saying, since we are talking, it's about education. It's about our Caribbean parents that did what they could with what they had, you know, at this time, and the same for grandparents.
Exactly.
But I have
Yeah.
the feeling that even today, there is still, or we are still in a survival mode everywhere that we're going, you know. Even if when you're trying to, you know, to connect to yourself and to your, I don't know how to say it, to your feelings, to be in a good place in your life, but you still have this survival mode, And you
Yeah,
were talking about the plantation mindset, and I
correct.
was like, ooh, oh la 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 la. She made a point, and it was really, yeah, super touchy, but I did understand. So, just, mm.
Yeah, yeah,
So the
yeah.
question is, what about this plantation beliefs? Uh, I know it's about survival mode, but
Mm-hmm.
basically, what was inherited from these beliefs, in fact, that we are still
Mm-hmm.
reproducing today.
Yeah. Again, I think I might have mentioned it too in my video. I can't remember if I did, or probably mentioned it in the comment section. But I think I tried to express that, like, I'm still doing even my own research into that to understand like how far back these beliefs are going, like as it relates to those plantation days. Um, and until then I don't have like the data and the real credible sources to point you to, but just from early readings and things that I connections that I can make from what I'm learning so far, is that we realize, like, okay, yes, during those days, we we did what we had to do
Okay.
to please the masters, and it's the same because of that. We also had
Mm,
to raise our children accordingly. And so we had to do those, like, if your child is crying, for example, you're gonna like tell them, hey, stop the crying, like, come on, because you don't want
yeah.
the child to cause an alarm, which could possibly cause you to get punished. Like, so again, you're doing all these things to survive because it's literally life and death at
Yeah.
that point. You're not trying to upset the masters or the owners. Um, and so it just happens that, yes, those days are done, but that's those behavior that we have in how we raise our children, in how we think what we need to do to be successful. It still stems back from that. Like, we still have this belief, like, we back in those days, you would look at the ones who went off
That's
and became doctors or lawyers, and you're like, okay, that's the
yeah.
road to, like,
True.
not being poor and to worry about your next meal. And so you now believe that that's the pathway. And so that's not, you now imprint that on your kids. You're like, this is what you need to do. Oh, you have a talent for singing? You think singing is gonna get you anywhere? No. Cut that out. Go study your book. We need to make sure you become a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever qualified profession you think is gonna make sure that they're successful. And
Yeah, it was the
we
same
still
for
hold
us.
on to
We
a lot.
we also have, I don't know if it's really present in Jamaica or in other country, Caribbean countries that you did. You have like the civil servant. You have, of course, you
Mhm.
can be a doctor or lawyer. That's safe, but you can be a civil servant. So you are paid by the state,
Yeah.
and and in general, I remember
Mm.
like the generation of my grandparents. They were like materially in a survival mode. They didn't have a lot at all. It was really, it was after the Second World War. They
Yeah.
didn't have a lot. And then you had like the generation of my
Yeah.
parents. They told them, my grandparents
Yeah.
told them that they needed to have a stable job. A stable situation. So they went to do civil servant, like
Exactly.
teacher, nurse, a doctor, whatever, something very regular. Yes, stable.
Right.
You will
Stable
have a
and
house
security.
and
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah.
our generation, I mean, I think we are a mix now. You have two categories. The first category is that will reproduce the same thing than their parents, but with in the private, in the corporate industry. So like they will have more money compared to their parents,
Yeah.
but they will still follow the same path. And then you have another generation that you than me. You say, okay, I did it, but I don't feel fulfilled. I need to do something else in my life. So So
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, I think you highlighted that so beautifully, like those different generations, because that's the reality. Like, yes, a few generations ago, like our parents or possibly our grandparents, like,
yes,
going far back, they truly were in survival mode, right? They truly didn't know sometimes where their next meal was going to come from. And so what I'm trying to do today with the people that I serve, um, is like helping them to realize, like, look at the situation you're in today. Like, are you in a position where you don't have a roof over your head, or you're truly worrying about what your next meal is going to be, or you don't have enough clothes to wear? Like, is that really your story? And if the answer is no, then why are you still thinking and acting in that way? Don't get me wrong, I'm very much aware that there are still people within our generation today that are living in survival mode, especially in the Caribbean. I know that. And this messaging is not for them. Like, if you're in survival mode, you're in survival mode. And I get it. But I'm specifically talking about the people who got to where I got to, for example, where I've checked all the boxes, I'm successful,
yeah, the paper.
by the definition of what they said success is. But yet I feel so miserable. I feel so unhappy. I feel so unfulfilled. I feel stuck. Like, that's me still in survival mode. That's me operating from a survival mode
Yeah,
mindset and not
but
realizing it.
I will
So,
say something.
yeah.
Maybe what you are living, what you are experiencing,
Mhm.
it's a luxury problem.
A
I'm
luxury
teasing you.
problem.
Because, well, as I said, some people, they really don't have it, for the moment. They really in survival mode.
Yeah.
And you, I don't know, when you were like still working in finance, you say, even if you didn't feel fulfilled, nobody told you to that you had it all, so you have to continue, even if you think like you're depressed or something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like, shove it down, don't worry about it, just do what you have to
especially
do.
now
Like
with
it.
the war,
Yeah.
because there is not just us, but this is
Yeah.
also as the world is working right now. It's kind of unstable also from an economic point of view. Everything is, I don't know in Canada, but in France, it's a mess. Like it's a mess, like from a working point of view, like you have less jobs opportunity for the moment, and you have also all this unstable decision by the leaders, so that impact your life directly. So people will say, yeah, but I think you should stay in your job. I mean, you will see later, maybe. Later might never come, but you will see later what to do. Mm,
Right. Right. And that's what I mean by, yeah, they'll do that. They'll take that advice and they'll spend the rest
yeah.
of their lives feeling miserable, unhappy. And the way people show up in the world in that state, it creates a ripple effect, right? Like, imagine just the people in your lives. Like, when you're at your worst, when you feel down and depressed, like, how do you show up with, I don't know, like your best friend or a partner, or your family members? Like, think about how you show up to them when you're in that state and what impact that has on them. Like, when you show up all depressed and stuff like that, how do they respond to you? It's I'm sure it's not going to be all jolly and they feel good. It creates a ripple effect. Like, they also feel like crap. They also feel like, I don't get what's wrong with her. Like, and then they pass that on, and it just it goes on. And that's what I mean. Like, if we get to a place where we take charge of that and we realize, like, okay, this is how I'm feeling right now, but I'm not truly in survive. Like, I'm not truly dying. Like, the world is not coming to an end.
Yeah.
I'm not truly worrying about my next meal. Like, there are things that I can actually do it causes you to show up differently in the world, and you show up a lot more empowered. And just you showing up that way inspires the people around you to show up differently as well. And when everybody is starting to show up differently, there's so much more that we can do, so much more new ideas that gets created from that, versus all of us just feeling like, yeah, this is sad and depressing, and the world is coming to an end, and life is so hard, and life sucks, and
Okay, and how do we rewrite our story? Because that's your thing, you say we need to rewrite our story. And I love this sentence.
yeah, how do we rewrite it? Um, so I actually have a process that I do, that I take my clients through. Essentially, it's kind of summarized in like three steps, right? So the first step is learning how to take the driver's seat of your life. So what that means is just realizing where in your life you are literally sitting in the passenger seat. And what that means is like you're just acting like a victim. You're just acting like life is just happening to me. I have no choice. I have no control. I have no say in
Yeah.
this. Like I can't do anything. And it's like when you can just identify those areas of your life that you're feeling that way, and as I say, sitting in the passenger seat, then you get to ask yourself, okay, if I were to sit in the driver's seat, like what would that look like? Like what do I actually have control of in this situation right now? Right? So it's asking yourself a different question in the moment. So that's the first step. And just
Okay.
learning how to take the driver's seat. The second step um, is where I help you to essentially rewrite your inner story. And so what that means is, so as you are now trying to take the driver's seat, you're going to find that these thoughts are going to keep coming in your head to be like, what are you doing? You can't do this. No, go back in the passenger seat. Like, stop trying to do that. And it's like, it's just learning how to become aware of that. And once you become aware of that, you can learn how to interrupt it and challenge it and be like, wait, where did that come from? Like, why do I actually believe that I can't do this, or that this is not for me? And you start to really challenge it, challenge these stories, challenge these beliefs, and be like, wait, is there anybody else I've seen who is like me, who have been in a situation like me, and they've achieved what I want to achieve? And it's like, oh, yeah, there's actually somebody I know. So if they could achieve it, I could achieve it too. It starts to now kind of like shift your perspective a little bit, like, wait, like I'm finally opening up my mind to realizing like there are possibilities out there, and that these beliefs or these thoughts that keep coming into my head, um, they are there because of, it was there to keep me safe once upon a time. Like when I was a child, like I understood why I believed this, and it was necessary back then, and I
Yeah.
appreciate it, but I'm just say thank
Yeah.
you, but this is not serving me anymore. So that's like a whole process, and just being able to like identify it, learn how to appreciate where it's coming from, and then start to challenge it a bit by finding actual evidence in your life that supports the opposite of it. So that's how we start to rewrite our inner story. And then the final step is it's like basically creating a map for the future. So this is where you start to essentially visualize, like you tap into your brain a bit, by visualizing the life that you actually want, and you see yourself in that life. And something that a lot of people don't realize about our brain is that our brains don't actually know the difference
That's true.
between
That's
reality
true.
and what we're telling it. So you can literally make up something, make up a story in your brain and tell yourself it so many
Okay.
times that your brain will believe that that's true. And so, same way, you can essentially start to tell your brain or make up a story in your brain that you are this highly successful, confident woman who, can stand on a stage and speak to millions of people. And you can close your eyes and envision that constant. And so you do it so often that your brain starts to
Yeah.
believe, like, oh, that's really who she is. And what happens is the more you start to believe that and you feel it in your body, that's the next thing. It's like learning how to tap into the feelings now and like really becoming aware of those sensations in your body. The more you start to make that connection, when you're showing up in real life, you start to take small, tiny steps that actually reflect that person that you're envisioning. And so every day are taking baby steps. And as you're taking baby steps, your brain is starting to realize, oh, oh, this is actually safe. This is not that scary. This is okay. And so because you're reassuring your brain, like, this is okay, I can do this, you're more inspired to take the next step and the next step. And before you know it, you're
Yeah. Of course.
actually living the life that you wanted to envision. And that's basically it. That's how I would say you rewrite your beliefs. Like
Yeah.
it's a process. It takes time. It is not the overnight thing, but it works when you're committed to it and you stay consistent basically, and you really hold on to that belief that it is anything is possible for you, that any life that, as long as
That's
you can imagine it. The workshop that I offer, it's called the Caribbean Breakthrough Experience, exactly, because essentially the participants that come to that workshop, they do have breakthroughs. They're like, they feel like, oh my gosh, like this
okay.
just
Okay.
opened up a
And
whole new world for
tricky
me.
question, tricky
Like, yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
But do we have to leave the island to have a better life as a Caribbean person?
Absolutely not. I do not think you have to leave the island to have a better life. And I mean, selfishly, I feel like that is my dream or my goal someday, where I truly want all the Caribbean countries to see that and to realize, like, if we all have different strengths. Like,
Yes.
we're
Yes.
similar, but we're also different. And if we were to all tap in to our own strengths and learn how to work together with each other better, create better relationships from the top down, and invest in one another, um, and not do this sort of like crab in a barrel mindset where it's like, okay, if this country is successful, it means I won't be successful. So we need to hold on to our stuff. We can't share it with them. Like, if we could just let go of that and figure out how we could all work together and use what we already have, we would realize how much we already have. We could literally change the entire Caribbean, if
Oh, that's true.
we could all create a different mindset. But yeah. So the challenge, like I told you earlier, is that I've just found that for a lot of people to see what's possible, it required them leaving, which, as I said, if I'm being honest, that was my story. Like, I think I had to leave Jamaica to be able to see what else was out there. But if for those of us who have left, uh, in the Caribbean diaspora, and we want to go back and try to impart this knowledge and help. Um, I think we could all make a difference. But yeah, that's a selfish goal I have of
Yeah,
possibly
and we can
changing the
also
entire
go
Caribbean
to our
in the
neighbors
long
also,
run.
because that's something that we don't do in the French Caribbean. Is of course Guadeloupe, you have Dominica Islands, and you have Martinique Island, and you have the other island, of course. But well, you don't have the flight connection visit the Caribbean, the other Caribbean islands.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough, and or how can I say that? Um, our way to travel, it's always direct to Paris. It's always all the flow is to Paris. To go to Europe. You know,
Oh,
and that's something that I was
yeah.
realizing, and I was like,
Yeah.
maybe it's time to look around. Just see the people around, trying to speak their languages also,
Yeah.
Spanish, English, whatever, and to travel. Maybe if you don't make it, in Guadeloupe, you can go, I don't know, to Puerto Rico, to Jamaica, Trinidad, to another Caribbean country, and to discover a new culture because we have similarities but differences also. And at the same time, you feel at home.
I
I
feel
think,
like I will make it to all the islands. All the islands
I think so.
someday. Oh, oh, that means so much to me. Thank you. Yeah, that's the dream, that's the goal, and I would love to see us get to that point where we can truly see the beauty within our own countries and realizing like you don't have to go to these so-called first world countries to have a better life. There is like so much beauty, so much joy within just the Caribbean. And for me, whenever I go back home or I go to any of the Caribbean islands actually, I'm always amazed at how at the joy I feel in just the warmth of people. Like, but it has to be in a particular setting, right? So it's like if
Yeah,
you are going to the beach or you are having like some family gathering, or just like some get together where you're just liming and talking and drinking or just having a good time or music is
yeah,
playing or you're at a party and dancing.
yeah,
It's like there's just so much
yeah,
joy in these settings. The way we dance, the food that we eat, the music that we listen to. It's like, to me, I don't feel that in North America. Like, I just don't feel that. Um, but it's like a different level of happiness and joy that I experience when I'm in the Caribbean. But outside of those settings, if you're just like I don't know, trying to go about day to day, going to a business place to do some business, or just look at people as they're traveling to work or school, you
yeah.
just get this like negative energy. It's like
Mhm.
you can tell people are so stressed. They're so, as we say, stuck in survival mode. They're like, I really don't want to be doing this. I have to do
Yeah.
because I need to make money. And you go into I don't know how customer service is in Guadeloupe, but
That's so good.
a lot of the Caribbean countries can relate to just like really poor customer service, where it's almost like you as the customer feel like
Yeah.
you're begging for something. Like it's almost like you're not paying your
No,
money to
that's the same. That's the same.
something,
It's
right?
terrible. I mean,
Um,
of course, all the tourists are complaining, but even me, because I travel a lot in other countries, like in Asian country, and customer service is so good, so great, and so I saw the differences, and I was like, no, I want to be served like that, but to use the word to be served remind people of the
yes.
slavery, and so they don't want to serve you.
Yeah, but again, it's that mindset, right? Like it's sort of like how they're even thinking about their job and what they have to do. Like they're not realizing that they're giving a service that, people are happily paying for. Like you're getting something in return. And the better you are at this, or the more comfortable or happy that people feel and receive, the more money they would want to pay. Because they would be like, oh yeah, I know that place can be a little pricier, but like I feel so good when I go there. Like I feel so well taken care of. Like I will happily pay my money to go there. People will pay more for that. But it's
Yeah.
just again, it's the mindsets that hold
And
us back. So, but yeah. Yeah, I was just sharing all that to say that I there's just so much joy and beauty in the Caribbean when we're like just being ourselves and we're being relaxed. But it's like once we switch back into survival mode, worrying about money, worrying about our jobs, it's like we're just different people. Like, and we feel stuck, and it creates that ripple effect. Like I said, they just the way they show up to people impacts how that person shows up,
Yeah.
and
And
yeah,
what
we're
would
all
be a
just stuck.
financially and emotionally um, new Caribbean mindset to you? You know, what would it be? Because of course you have the Caribbean Breakthrough Workshop, and you saw so many people
Hmm.
transformation. But to you, what will be the new mindset to get? Because I don't think the new mindset is to be like a Western person, neither. So what would it be for you?
I think the new mindset is sort of what we call having an abundance mindset. So it's just realizing that
Uh,
we literally already have enough, and that we can make use of what we already have. And just if you, so there's something very powerful too with our brains where when you focus on what you don't have or what you don't have enough of, that's all you're going to see, right? So you're just going to keep thinking like, we don't have enough money. So you're going to keep finding all the evidence in your life that tells you that you don't have enough money. But if you actually challenge yourself for an entire day to tell yourself, like, I already have enough, like, I have all the money that I need to get through this day, for example, you would start to actually see the opportunities throughout your life, throughout your day, that points to the reality that you do have enough. And when you ask about the mindset, like that, to me, that's what it comes back to, where if we all truly started realizing and believing that we already have enough and we don't necessarily need more to make us happy, then we would be able to start to actually see what is it that we do have, and we would get a lot more creative, a lot more innovative, a lot more resourceful to make use of what we do have to create sorts of that life that we want for our countries. But we can't see it because we keep believing that we don't have enough, and because we don't have enough, we're needing more, and we need people to help us, and we need people to give us the handouts and all of
okay,
that,
okay.
so
Maybe
we
we are
can't
too
see
hard
it.
on ourselves, also. I mean, uh, yeah, I think so,
Yeah,
because I
absolutely.
was thinking about being perfectionist, but being perfectionist means that you think you're not enough.
Hmm.
So,
Exactly. But where is that coming from? Where is that mindset?
yes,
All the way back, right? All the
yeah,
way back, and it's so deep.
yeah,
It's so ingrained in us to believe that we're not enough. Like, because you did believe growing up, your parents told you you had to do certain things, you had to be a certain way
yeah,
to be loved and accepted. And for as long as you subconsciously believe that deep down,
yeah.
then you're gonna keep doing the things that you think you need to do to be accepted without realizing, like, wait, I am enough. Like, I can be loved who I am as I am today.
But
Like,
I
I
think
don't
it's
need to
also
do that.
because,
And
I don't know
yeah.
if you were raised with this sentence, with this belief, uh, that as a Caribbean person or as a black person, you need like to work twice or three times more than the others, to get half what they have, So there is
Yes.
also this, and
Yes.
in this mindset, and so you're always doing more to be sure to get half.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mhm.
I was definitely raised with that belief. And I won't lie, growing up, I won't say growing up because I didn't grow up here, but living here now for a few years, like in North America in particular, I mean, you do see evidence of it where, like, if you're in certain work environments and you look at your North American coworkers, and you sometimes like try to see how you are treated versus them, you can sometimes pick up on the bias. So it's like we know it exists, out there in the real world. So I'm not downplaying it to say like it's all just in your head, but
Okay.
sometimes it is just in your head. Like sometimes you're actually in a situation where that's not actually happening to you, and you are telling yourself that, oh, I need to work harder than this person, or I need to work twice as hard, or else I won't get noticed. And that's not truly the reality. But even in the situations where you are in that setting, um, and that is what's happening, where I find that we're holding ourselves back is that we believe that we have to stay in it. We believe that, oh, I don't have a choice. Like I have to stay here, and so I have to put up with this, and so this is just what I have to do,
Yeah.
and that's not true again. So it's like again, it's coming back to sort of that self worth, that belief in yourself, that how good you truly believe you are, what you believe you're capable of. And if you are in those settings where you're seeing your coworker is being treated different to you, you're in an unfair environment, then it's for you to like wake up
Yes.
and be like, wait, I don't deserve this. I don't belong here. And you remove yourself from the environment. But for too many of us, we believe that we can't do better. And it's like, well, this is just what it is. And so I just have to make sure I keep working harder so that I
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
acknowledged.
Yes.
And
You should
reality
work
is like, no,
efficiently,
you don't.
not harder.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. 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 So
Correct.
I think we're going. Yeah, we're going most. Yeah, to the end of like of discussion. But I don't know if you have something that you want to ask me, or you have something that you want to add to this conversation that you really want people to understand about, like people, our Caribbean communities, about like the patterns, about what they should do and everything.
I would say the only thing I would add is if it is if you're listening to this and you're in a place in your life where you feel like this is not what I envisioned my life to be, this is not what I want, I feel truly unfulfilled, I feel stuck, I feel like I don't know a way forward. Um, it's time for you to realize that like you're the one that's standing in your way. Like it's not life that is unfair. It is not life that is just happening to you. It is not that other people just have more opportunities than you. Like that's not what it is. It's that you are the one that's holding yourself back because there are certain things that you continue to tell yourself and you continue to believe about yourself and your own worth and what you're capable of that is causing you to be where you are, and you're not taking certain actions because of these beliefs that you have. And so if you want to create a different life, you're going to have to start believing new things, and you're going to have to start taking different actions, because only when you start taking different actions then you can get different results. So the short to all of that is to say if you are in that place in your
Yeah.
life, then
Oh,
it's
so
time to
good, so
rewrite your
good.
beliefs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's so good. What can I say to add? I'm reading a book.
Thank
I'm reading a book. I don't know if it's really related, but it was written by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah, yeah. I found it's in French.
Oh,
For me,
okay.
it's in French. It's
Okay.
previous. It was his name
Yeah.
was Eric Williams, and the book is dealing
Mhm.
with capitalism and slavery to see like the relationship between both, and to see like, from an economic point of view
Okay.
how they did make it work, and it's super super interesting to see that, because that makes you understand from a pragmatic point of view what happened before, and even if it's not about mindset, but it's about
Mhm.
economic point of view, and it's super interesting to talk about money after that.
Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that.
I bumped
Yeah, no,
into
I'll
it
look
one
into it
day
for sure.
in Paris.
Yeah.
I found it and I was like, oh, why not? Let me read something different. So yeah, voilà.
Mm.
Bah, c'est tout, c'est fini. So what can I say? So thank you so much for this moment. It was super interesting. Of course, I have other questions, but I know that you have things to do after that. So it's okay, and it was super interesting. I think to understand like we are the same as island people, Caribbean island people, and so we need to deal and to heal one day with like different patterns. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you
No,
around.
I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Et voilà, nous arrivons au terme de cet épisode. J'espère que cet échange a fait écho chez toi et qu'il t'aidera un peu plus chaque jour à mettre de l'or dans ta relation à l'argent. Si cet épisode t'a touché, la plus belle manière de soutenir le podcast est de lui laisser 5 étoiles sur ta plateforme d'écoute préférée. C'est grâce à ce type de partage que, ensemble, nous briserons les tabous. Et si tu sens qu'il est temps pour toi de transformer ta propre relation à l'argent en profondeur, eh bien je t'attends. Le lien pour un appel est en description. D'ici là, d'ici notre prochain rendez-vous, prends soin de toi, prends soin de tes proches et de ta prospérité.